Okay guys, so now we're going to speak about the code window. And the code window or the modules are basically containers for your macros. And this is where you're going to write code. This is where you're going to write VBA code, and this is where most of the action actually is going to happen. Now you can see here that I've got a module here that is created that is called module 1. And module 1 has been created because I recorded some macros here on this workbook, the absolute macro and the relative macro. But actually, even if you don't record macros on your workbook, a module is already created in Excel, which is, for example, the sheet module here. This is a module that is already created in Excel and you can start using it. So I can write a subprocedure called testing code, for example, and then I can just write any code. Range D1 equals 1, for example, and this is going to put the value of 1 in cell D1. So if I run that, it would still work. Okay. However, normally you do not use the worksheet module or the workbook module to write normal macros. You normally use them to write event procedures. Okay, so I'm just gonna delete that because normally you would write normal macros in modules. You'd create a module, either you create it or Excel would create it, and then you would write the macro that way. Okay, so let's go back to our code window here, and as you can see here at the top, we've got two menus here, two drop-down menus. We've got the object drop-down and we've got the procedure drop-down. And the object drop-down allows you to select different objects, okay, and we will see that in the future, especially when we deal with events. And this procedure dropdown allows you to use a certain procedure for that particular object. So for example, if you select a worksheet, you could use the procedure for activating the worksheet, for example, which is going to be the event or whatever code you're going to fire whenever that particular sheet is activated. And we will see that in the future. Now, currently, the object dropdown has only general in it, because we're in a normal module, but when we're working in events, we're going to see workbook or worksheet. And in this procedure dropdown, you're going to see your macros, your different macros. Okay, so I've got here the absolute macro and the relative macro. Okay, so right now in this module, we've got two procedures. We've got the absolute macro procedure and we've got the relative macro procedure. And as you can see here, I can see both procedures in the module. If we look at the bottom here, we will see that we've got two buttons. We've got the full module view button and the procedure view button. And these buttons enable us to either have a view viewing all the procedures in the module or just a single procedure. So actually, if we switch to the procedure view while we are in the absolute macro, if you click on that, you can see here that we are now in a view that shows us just a single procedure. And this is useful if you've got a lot of procedures in your module and you would like to focus on just one procedure in order to avoid writing code in the incorrect procedure. So if you go back to the full module view, you'll actually see all the procedures in the module. If we click inside the relative macro and go to the procedure view, you can see here we are now focused in the relative macro procedure. Okay, so these two buttons enable us to toggle between either a full module view or just a focused view on a single procedure. Okay, so now you see this bar here on the left. This is called the margin indicator bar, and it's going to give us some visual cues or visual indicators when we're doing error handling and debugging for our code, and we'll see how to do error handling and debugging in the future. So thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you on the next video.